Hello, my friends. I hope you're doing well. It's been a very, very beautiful journey for me personally, inside, and also in my way of expressing it, to really be so fully myself, whether that means I'm perfect or imperfect, and not shy away from who I am. It's kind of part of what I came here for is to teach and support people in how to love themselves, not just as a nice idea, but as a really felt sense experience. And a big part of what I have been connecting with now for a while, you may have heard that on my other YouTubes, is to connect with that deep, deep longing or deep desire that lives inside each and every one of us. Now, I think it's important to express or to name that we are basically being defined by the outer world. And we are afraid that that definition is offensive to other people. So we have tried to shape ourselves into these weird looking pretzels, hoping that other people's definition of us is going to be is not going to be offensive or angry or anything like that. So we have been walking around here holding ourselves back, and we have allowed the seeming outer world to define who we are, what we are, how we should be, who we should not be, who we should like, who we should vote for. All these things are very strong outer impressions that have a deep impact on us. I know this because I also grew up in this world where the outer defined who I was supposed to be. So, in that process, what we miss, of course, is who we really are and how we will naturally express ourselves from the core of our divinity. And if we do not connect with that, we will constantly live in this compressed state where we're holding ourselves back. This is the world that we experience out there. I always do this when I say out there because it is happening in here, in the matrix mind, but it seems like it's happening out there. But we are doing it to ourselves because there is some kind of a programming that is so convincing that we do not even question it. I hope that my sharings here on my videos allows you to question it, at least question it. At least don't just buy into it because somebody says so, or somebody writes this, or believes that. Take a moment and check in with yourself, not just in the mind, because if you just check with your mind, you're still in the matrix and there's duality and you're not in touch with that deeper knowing. So when I started not letting myself be defined by the outer, and it was a very scary process for me, and it still can be. There are still times where I know, no, I better not say anything because these people or this person or group of people, they will define me as being something that they believe in, and it has nothing to do with me. Because when I check in with my own experience, There are no labels. There are no definitions. Nobody can define you or I as who we really are. Nobody. We can barely do it ourselves, right? Because we have all these layers of labels and definitions from the outer world, from the programming that's happening in and as through us, as if it's true. And as long as we have all these layers of definition that we still believe in, we will never know who we are. So it's a it's a big journey. It's a very wonderful journey. It can be very challenging at times because the programming somehow wants us to stay in this trance state, in this uh, zombie state, or um, giving up our power state. Because when we give up our true expression, when we give that up and give it to a programming, we are feeding the programming instead of our own truth, our own divinity, our own expression. So, just an invitation is to stop letting yourself be defined by the outer world. And when you take back that energy where you're trying to fit in and trying to be what others want you to be, whether it's, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your coworkers, the government, all that, it is not who you are. Any label that is put on you is not who you are, no matter what color, what size, what shape, what race, what education, nothing to do with who you are. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So that's the programming that we have all been programmed to do to ourselves and to each other. It's a program. It is just a program. I so want to keep repeating that because once you see it's just a program, you don't need to engage in it anymore. We can kind of make a little fun of it and say, you just get another program, get rid of the program, erase it, or delete it, or what's it called, to get it out of your computer. It has a certain name, but when we do that, then we can maybe put in a new program that we start confirming something that's more true. For instance, I and my Father are one, or I and my mother are one, the divine, right? Divine Father are one. Or that, for me, it would be some Bible quotes that I have really enjoyed for many, many years that give me a sense of, oh yeah, oh yeah, and he or she goes before me to make the crooked places straight. Oh, that's right. Instead of like, oh, you have to, fight for your life and you have to make it all on your own and you have to work hard, right? That's the program. But when you go in here and let the program just let it go, you start feeling and start feeling into the stillness, feel into your own divinity and let that define you. It's a much, much bigger, better, more nourishing and true definition than the programming, which has nothing to do with us. So try and see this out here as a programming that every one of us have been buying into and believing. And when we do that, we kind of internalize it. And it's still all happening in the mind. We take it in, and then there's these thoughts, you're not good enough, nobody likes you. And then we project that out to the world, and then we judge that person for not liking us. And we judge that person because they're mean. But it's all because we're actually playing that out in our own minds. So if we can, at least be curious, that is this really a program? Because it's not gonna, for some people, you see it like, oh my God, it's a program. For me, it's been a long, slow seeing it and then kind of being pulled back into it a little bit, but then it's like, oh no, I recognize that. That's not where I want to be. So it gets easier to stay here and then let this define me. Let this inner define you. And when we do that, then this inner definition of love, oneness, connection, fulfillment, that's what lives in each of us because that is what we are made of. That is who we are at the core without the programming, without these layers of lies. So when we connect with that, there is a moving through those layers, and that's the work many of us have been doing for a long time, and letting that inner definition melt away and dissolve these outer programmed definitions that we have agreed to let them define us. So it always comes back to our own true will. It's like this something inside of us that is beyond all these outer things, beliefs, expressions, manifestations. It comes down here, and let that define us. And then this definition, then we'll be projectors of that into the world. And that's going to look very different because we don't have the false definitions covering our vision. And it's like, oh, and then you let your own inner definition show you what is true. And that's when we get the perfection showing up in our experience instead of what is not true. So it's very much an inner, and then we allow that to come out and show us what is really true. And that, of course, can only happen when we go within and allow it to define what it is as you and I, because there's only one. So it's going in, and we can even ask that. That's kind of a prayer, right? You show me what I am. You show me how I express myself when I don't have these outer definitions or labels that I've been looking through. And then it will start showing up in whatever way. And then things can start changing from the inside out. So my invitation for all of us today is to let your inner define who you are.